A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the KLPGA event. This, of course, is the suhyup-bank Open. That's we're coming at you live from Gyeonggi-do. Um, it's that part where we've actually had our dawnbreakers really go out and show their mettle, but right now it's Park Geol who's on hole number 9 with a second stroke. She's carrying a 6 under score. She's done extremely well for herself today. Let's not forget that today, of course, weather conditions have been quite iffy, and by that I purely mean that there might be a bit of expected rain. There's a bit of wind in the air. Lee won. Well, that's the top golfer in the fray. She's carrying a 4 under score onto a second stroke for hole number 6. Lee Won is really currently the poster girl of the KLPGA. She's got major fans. She's done extremely well, and she leads the rankings. She's been an exceptional talent this year. There's no doubt about it. So, as we continue with the event, let's also remind you temperature. Well, currently, when we last checked, when we got here in the morning, it was fairly easy. Moon Jong-min onto her ninth hole. It's a par 4 for the asking. She's carrying a 4 under, but she's already on to her fourth stroke after running into a spot of trouble. Needs to get out of, well, the dirt track. And I think that's exactly what she plans to do right away. Well placed, actually, but I would think maybe a bogey or a double bogey might be, well, on offer there, which might not work too well for her if she's really expecting anything to come out of it. So it's been fairly sunny, 26 degrees, well, Celsius, the temperature, just like yesterday, about 40% relative humidity. We do have a few wind speeds. Swang Yumin gets on to her second stroke for hole number 6. She's carrying a 4 under. Decent enough lift in there. Well, gets herself a tad bit away from the flagstick. Now let's remind you that this event, of course, is worth 1 billion won. I did do the conversion for you yesterday. But let's also remind you that wind speeds currently at about 1.8 miles. Um, there is always that, that change in the weather. And beautifully done. And she was yesterday in very, very good stead. So meanwhile, we move on, of course, to Park Gyeol, who's aiming for birdie on hole number 9. Just got a 6 under that she's carrying. Yesterday, of course, the young lady to watch was Bang Shin-sil. But things do change, so we will find out today who finishes top of the heap. And she'll have to settle for an even par there, Park Gyeol. But much better performance today. Yesterday did have a few bits of, well, I'd say a few bits and bobs of worries, but that's not been too much of a problem for her. Well, fairly decent there. That incline is definitely going to aid her big time. And that's what you mean by wind resistance. Absolutely wonderful shot. And even if you don't plan it, well, sometimes things will just go your way. And when the wind's on your back, well, I think it's always going to work well for you. So lovely, absolutely lovely effort there from her. Move on to Hwang Yoo-min. Aims for birdie on hole number 6. She's also been in stellar form. We've got a few clouds in the skies, just to remind you. Close but not close enough. That slight, well, descent towards the left of the hole, just making it a tad bit difficult. Yes, Moon Jung-min will have to, well, bogey that one. We did see her earlier. Oh, what a narrow miss. What a narrow miss. So double bogey definitely, well, could be the only solution there. And, you know, it's such a downer. It's just one of those really, well, disappointing moments when you have to sit with a double bogey, and then it's just the opposite when you have an eagle. That's like ultimate joy. So Moon Jung-min, she'll have to keep her focus. Not too much of a worry there, but she does know that she's just hampered her chances a little bit. She's got a 2-under still, because yesterday she performed extremely well. Lee Won aiming for birdie. That's narrowly escaped. So it's definitely going to be probably a even score for her. This young lady made strides yesterday to give us some really exciting moments. Had a few ups and downs, but they were worth it. Yun Mina. It's on to her third stroke. And that's for hole number 1. She's had a late start. She was up there in the top order yesterday, Yun Mina, Park Min-ji. Another one of the very popular golfers, going in with the second stroke for hole number 9. She's carrying a 5-under score. Oh, lovely shot. Absolutely delightful from Park Min-ji. Lee Dong-gyun has a very good chance of nailing a birdie here. She had that beautifully placed ball stroke earlier. A birdie on the 8th hole, and that's going to take her up to 5 under. She'll acknowledge that gracefully. Absolutely wonderful there. Well, you can hear the wind howling, just in case if you weren't taking me seriously about the wind. It does change, and later on in the day, probably an hour or two from now, wind conditions could increase. And if that increases, well, that just makes it a little bit more difficult, especially for those that have been the late starters. The dawnbreakers, the sunrisers, no problem at all, because they would have finished off most of their activities. Having said that, well, we've got a few big guns in there just as we speak. Lee Won is still very much a part of this competition. And don't forget, we've also got Park Ji-young, Bang Shin-sil, you know, all the big guns in there. Park Min-ji, who's ranked currently 6th, Hwang Yoo-min, who's ranked 7th. And there we have it, looking at the race to the WeMix Championship. Well, we've got Park Hyun-kyung, who's leading the way, but on the current rankings in the KLPGA, Lee Won still top of the heap with her earnings. Here she is on hole number 7. She's going in with the 6 iron. It's a par 3 for the asking. Could have nailed the hole in one. I think maybe. I think just maybe. Well, it's never going to be easy, especially when you're up against, you know, some of the really, really huge well, competitors that you have. And it's always going to be a challenge as to how you can, you know, navigate and find your way through. I always love that cheer, whether it's from the fans or from anyone else, when you hear them say go. And if only the ball had ears, that would be outstanding, wouldn't it be? Well, tee off time again for hole number 10, and this is Park Geol. It's a par 4 for the asking, 370 meters. She's got a 6 under. She'll want to keep that very much intact. So that's our current leaderboard rankings as it stands. Park Ji-young right there at the top of the heap, and Kim Min-sun and Park Geol sitting right behind. It's going to be a very, very interesting battle as we progress through the day. Let's not forget that Choi Rim, Yoon Min-ah, Lee Dong-yoon, and Park Min-ji are right there in that tied fourth position, and they are tapping, on the top spots. But Park Ji-young still leads the way with that 7 under. We just saw Park Geol get her tee off going, and she sits with Kim Min-sun 7 in a tied second. Now, Kim Min-sun did have her own share of worries yesterday, but she still, was emerging as one of the big players. Very interesting to know that a lot of the others have kind of sailed down the rankings, not rankings, but standings in this event. Choi Min-kyun, Han Ji-won, Lee Ji-young are now in tied 8th. Early days, you would think. Some of them, of course, slowly actually having finished off their day's play since they started off early. Yoon Sua, Lee Won is still in there very much, along with Hwang Yoo-min. And now these are two, big players. And along with Hwang Ye-na, they are tied 8th. But there's always that chance. By the end of the day, and by the time they finish their 18 challenges, it's going to be an entirely different, result. Big players, especially when they still have time, you can strategize. You can really, bring out every little bit of skill or trick that you have in the bag out, and put it on the green, and that's exactly what we're looking at right now. So it's very difficult to speculate in any golf tournament, but I think right now we pretty much have a feel of who the big players are. Yesterday's shining stars, some of them will still sparkle, some of them, of course, will fade out in the sky, at least for this event. So we continue with this. Let's also very quickly remind you that one of the things that we always want to talk about is the prize money. And I did say this, it was about 1 billion won, but 1 billion won, of course, does translate to exactly 723,274 USD. So that's about, let's just say, 723,000 plus USD. So that's exactly what we're looking at in this event. A very, very important one. We've had, of course, a couple of them that have already been finished. Lee won the NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship on the 12th of May. She also picked up the Blue Canyon Ladies Championship to start off her winnings this year, and that was on the 17th of March. So she's quite a big contender in there for this event as well. You've still got Hwang Yoo-min. Hwang Yoo-min won her first event at the Doosan ENC Weave Championship. That was on 7th April. And then, of course, let's add Park Ji-young in there. Park Ji-young's also picked up 2 events. The 14th April Mediheel Hankook Elbow Championship. That was again in Alien 1. I remember on to win the Kyochon 1991 Ladies Open on the 5th of May. So, huge year as far as this event goes. And one thing that I've spoken about is the entire scenic setting. That's absolutely gorgeous. I grew up close to the mountains, so for me it's delightful to be a part of this. Always had the mountains in the backyard. Happy that it was in the city back then, and here we go, another fine finish. Absolutely delightful work being done here. we do know what this young lady is capable of. Now moving back to Yunmina. Yunmina is aiming for birdie. Well, she'll narrowly miss that. She's carrying a 5 under, but I think she's just set herself up for an even score finish, and that's still going to keep her, well, points intact. Well, as long as you don't get into those positives, lose out on those, well, underscores, I think you're fairly in good stead. Easy cleanup for her, absolutely no worry. And she's got a smile on her face for that. She knows she's just, well, kept herself out of the positives. Park Geol. Hole number 10, 370 meters. This is the second stroke. I don't think that turned out the way she would have wanted to, but she's still closer to the destination. Sometimes you just want to be, well, careful. Here's Hwang Yumin, aiming for birdie on hole number 7. Don't write her off as well. She's a very, very gutsy player. That ball definitely afraid of the dot. There's no doubt about it. But a light tapping will do it, and she'll finish with an even score for this one. That keeps, well, her underscore unaffected, and I think that that's going to work well for her for the time being. Now, here's a lady, of course, who's delighted us with a few birdies today. She's been very, very, with a few bits of play today. She's been in good form. Lee Dong-gyun going in with a wedge here. It's hole number 2. Sorry, it's stroke number 2. That's a good choice of weapon for that. Just got a knack of being able to land those balls very close to the can every time. Lee Won will want to be cautious with it. It's going in with the putter, there's no doubt about it. Well done. Wasn't too much of a distance, but I think she wants to be cautious about this. So there we go, 3 birdies already in the first 7. She's got her score up to a 5 under, which means, let's not forget, Lee Won was not right up there in that top 4 or the top quartet yesterday. But today, well, she's beginning to shine. Park Geol, meanwhile, well, needs to get out of the cat box. That's a 3rd stroke. This wasn't really the one that she intended for. It's hole number 10 that we're looking at. Well, she's put that fairly close to the can, but I think, well, a birdie definitely out of the question for her. There's no doubt about it. Now, don't forget that one of the challenging parts of this course is the greens have so many inclines that it tends to be very, very deceptive. There's a bit of a downward slope here for Lee Dong-gyun, and there's a slight bit of a descent towards the left as well. And that's exactly what I was just referring to. Um, Maybe a tad bit of a curve or a banana would have helped, but I think she'll accept that gracefully. She's been doing fairly well, kept her performance consistent. Here's a young lady who would like to put the sins of the past behind. I mean, totally by that double bogey. Here's Yun Mina onto a second stroke for hole number 2. Did not have well the brightest start yesterday, but she came through to finish in that top region. She was in stellar form, so expect a lot from her today. She's still, in the roots of round 2, the root stages rather of round 2, and there's so much more to expect from her. Lee Won teeing off for hole number 8, 360 meters for the asking. Hole number 8 is a tricky one. There's beautiful scenery all around. Makes you feel like you're floating in the sky because it's at quite an elevated part. If you look, from down towards this, Wang Yumin, of course, will go in next. She tees off for hole number 8. You definitely see the spark in that. Well, how often do we actually just stop and really notice that one key element, the friction, when the club hits, the cup, it's just Sapakio look to finish on par for hole number 10. And that's just going to dampen her efforts for the second session. So a bogey there on the back 9, and she's stepped down to a 5 under. She's had just one birdie here today. As Lee Won and her well, trio make their way forward. Let's not forget that there are a couple of main stars in here, and that's what we're looking at. It's these very golfers who might land up finishing top of the heap. They were, top performers yesterday. Yun Mina aiming for birdie on hole number 2. She's got a 5 under. Remember, we said she's one of the ladies to watch. Oh, that's just semi-lipped out, I would say. Almost like passing by with a glance. So a bit unfortunate for her there, but Yun Mina has also been one of those golfers who has this never say die attitude. Hasn't broken into the top 10 this year. You've still got a few, well, as I said, you've got those big guns in there. Lee Won, Park Ji-young, Hwang Yu-min as well in the top 10. Lee Won, well, she's got rank points of 10.6562, total points of 618.06. 58 events played this year. On to a second stroke for hole number 8. She's going in with the 9-iron. Well, she's got herself onto the green. This hole definitely calls for maximum skill. You've got to control both distance and direction, and of course that burden of crossing the deep valley. But I think what's really important is what she does know. She's got to plan her shots out, and I think if you are on hole number 8, it's so important to be able to land the ball on the green where it doesn't travel too much after that. Park Min-ji with the second stroke. She too is carrying a 6 under. And well, there's a bit of delight when you can get off the rough and back onto the carpet. Wait for the wind and that descent to just help you, but I do believe she's still at a far distance from the flagstick. Don't think that's going to bother her too much. Meanwhile, here we go back again. Lee Won's group mates. It's Hwang Yu-min going in for a second stroke for hole number 8. She's gone in with a wedge. Very smart choice and very well placed. Hwang Yu-min. Well, just turning that knob up a little bit here. Park Yeol, remember she was in very good stead. Well, missed out due to that bogey, went back to a 5 under. Here she tees off for hole number 11. You can view the course and the entire scenery from that tee off spot for hole number 11. But choosing where you want to attack from rather than actually gaining too much distance, that's the key. Placement is everything for hole number 11. So Park Ji-young still leads the way with a 7 under. Kim Min-sun 7 and Park Min-ji are tied second with a 6 under, and then you've got that quintet. Choi Rim, Yunmina, Pakio, Lee Dong-gyun, and Lee Won in tied fourth with a 5 under. And then there's that tied ninth where you see Han Ji-won, Lee Ji-young, Yoon Soo-ah, Hwang Yu-min, Kim Hee-ji, Choi Min-kyun, Sung Yu-jin, and Han Ji-won. Um, Now, these, of course, still have every possibility of breaking into that tied fourth or probably even into the tied second. It's just a matter of time. See as Lee won back again, and I think she really wants to step up a game. She's gone from strength to strength, aiming for birdie on hole number 8. She's carrying a 5 underscore. Well, I think just needed a tad bit more of an angle on that one. It wasn't going to be easy. Now, if you look at it, this slope is very tricky, and then the wind isn't really being helpful at all. Well, Park Min-ji has her own battles to fight, but she's also been in a very good form. And that's where the wind's starting to really act up, isn't it? It's not just the slope anymore, and she understands it. by So-Yoon, aiming for birdie on hole 8. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, she not only conquered the slope, but she also nailed that through, and that's fantastic. She had an eagle, a birdie, and of course now here's another birdie for her. So she's been in very, very good form for this early part. Couple of bogeys in there, a few ups and downs, but she's down to an even score. So by So-Yoon, well, delighting the audience here today. Yes, Park Yeol for hole number 11 did speak about how you can actually get a view of the entire area. She's on to a second stroke for hole 11. And well, she's still got 2 to go. A birdie might be a tad bit of a challenge, but you can't put it past her. She is one of the big guns here. Park Min-ji on hole number 10. Well, just that slight angle. Sometimes you want to go with the banana curve, but easy cleanup. She'll stay with that even score. Just a wonderful golfer to watch, isn't she? Hwang Yoo-min and Park Min-ji, both wonderful golfers to watch. Here's Park Min-ji aiming for an on-par finish. Well, we do stand corrected. That was Hwang Yoo-min earlier. That's Park Min-ji with her glasses on. She's carrying a 6 under. A wonderful golfer because it just goes about her business like another day at the office. It's always interesting to watch her in action. Lee won. We'll finish with an even score on hole number 8. Did not flinch there, did not blink. Just a very confident putt. Knew she was going to finish that. Meanwhile, Lee Dong-gyun. She's going to employ an 8-iron here for a second stroke for hole number 10. Remember, she's also carrying a 5 under score. Well, she's just scaled past the can, but I don't think it's going to bother her too much. Lee won. She'll tee off for hole number 9. This is, of course, an asking of 380 meters. Should be fairly satisfied with her effort here. While her group mate, of course, will get on next. That's Hwang Yoo-min. Well, that's a solid wallop from her, there's no doubt about it. Did pack in a good bit of power into that. She means business, and just staying very close to Lee Yvonne. That's very, very interesting. So just to get a clear view of well, the entire course. Let's not forget, I've always said this, it's one of my favorite courses, the Star Hugh Golf Course. And it's a golf course like a tree garden where you can enjoy, well, forest baths and relaxation. A country style trail that is there within the course if you look at it. And you can play comfortably without being disturbed by who's playing on the holes next to you. Now all the holes have been planted with steep grass, and the Gosong mineral water site is within the course. It's been known to have excellent effects on, well, a lot of skin conditions, gastritis and things like that. Now set here in Yangpyeong County, where we're coming at you live from. It's very close to Mount Yongmun-san and Mount Yumyong-san. Here's Park Geol now, aiming for birdie on hole number 11. Well, she's always coming so close to it, isn't it? I think it would be just easy for her to, well, finish that. And I think what's really challenging the golfers here is the winds. Just look at the trees. You can see the leaves swaying, and pretty much tells a story. Yunmin now onto a second stroke for hole number 3. Well, I don't think she'd be very keen on where that's landed. She might have hit the beach. You'll get to know that when she gets closer. Lee Dong-gyun, meanwhile, aims to birdie on hole number 10. This could be a big moment for her. Remember, there's a bit of a descent there towards the left as well. She'll have to navigate through that. Oh, that is such a delightful shot. Agonizingly stopped shot, didn't it? Well, that ball may be shy of the dark, but I think she'll be happy to just, well, finish it with an even score. So we're definitely looking at a few, well, ups and downs, a few changes here. But Hwang Yu-min, who's still very much in the running here for the big win tomorrow, well, she gets onto a second stroke for hole number 9. Oh, that's well placed. Absolutely marvelous effort here from Hwang Yu-min. And a bit of delight for her. Well, that's exactly what you need. You need those morale boosters every now and then. One, of course, would come in the form of the caddies. The second would come in the form of your performance. Always talk about how caddies can be one of the greatest assets that you can have. So Lee Won gets on to hole number 2. Oh, sorry, stroke number 2 for hole 9. 95 meters to the hole. And she and Hwang Yumin just keeping a parallel right from the tee off till here. Very similar in their approach. Well, every time you see a divot, it's always the players graceful. Oh, that was such a narrow miss. Yun Mina, heart-stopping moment there, and she knows it. Beautifully done, actually. Had that gone in well, she would have been just one happy camper. Yes, Park Min-ji. Well, just putting a bit of distance on that. I think she would have liked to have had a lot less club on it. But I don't think she'll be complaining too much. And it's tee off time for hole number 12. Park Geol. She's going in with a 6 iron. 165 meters. Par 3 for the asking. Well, it's not the furthest, but keep in mind the fact that there are bunkers that can be a bit tricky, well, around the green. I think Park Geol has done fairly well to set herself up for a birdie. Very good positioning, and I think she'll be pretty pleased with that. So very quickly, a look at the current standings on the leaderboard, and it certainly looks like in this event Park Joo-young still up there with that 7 under. Kim Min-sun 7 and Park Min-ji, they are in tied second. Park Min-ji, of course, has got that 6 under where Park Geol was originally, and Park Geol just dropping down into that tied 4th where she shares it with Choi Rim, Yun Mina, Lee Dong-gyun and Lee Won. So interesting take for us so far. We just spoke of Lee Won, and here she is. She'll aim for birdie on hole number 9. It's very essential for our golfers to pick whatever they can on that front 9. This is a very important hole for her. Well, just narrowly missing out on it. And that ball can actually wink at the can. Well, she just stuck that in to finish it. An even score for her. But I think she's done fairly well with her, her front 9. I don't think she'll have too much to complain about. There's still the back 9 to get through, and there's always a chance. The back 9, of course, being played on the Star course, poses entirely different challenges. The Hugh course that the front 9 has are quite different. So for hole number 11, here's Ko Jiu. She'll aim for birdie. She's carrying a 2 over score. It's a bit of a distance. Oh, that is outstanding. And it's moments like these that'll just make you smile. And you really got to take a bow for them. Absolutely wonderful from her. So she'll bring it down to a 1 over Ko Jiu. Here's Yun Mina. And she nails a birdie, goes up to a 6 under after the 3rd hole, and she certainly means business in round 2. There's no doubt about it. She did shine in round 1, and she could very well be emerging as one of the golfers here today to keep your eyes on. Well, not just for a play. She's a pretty girl, but Yun Mina has always been one of those strong performers. Expect the unexpected from her. Parkman G. It's hole number 11. Can she nail it? Well, that's just gone past, so she'll still have to settle for an even score for this one. Well, we did talk about hitting the cat box earlier, and Kang Ji-sun. Oh, that is outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. A birdie out of the cat box, and, well, she's pulled a rabbit out of the hat for that. Hole number 12, Kang Ji-sun. Well, isn't that delightful? You hit the beach, and then you come out of it swimming free to find the can. Absolutely wonderful. Wang Yumin now. And it's a birdie on the 9, so she moves up to a 5 under as well. So it's smiles all around for our young golfers. She's had 1 bogey and 4 birdies there in that front 9, a score of 33. I think she'll be pleased as punch with that. There's a lot to achieve for her now in the back 9. And this contest is beginning to heat up as we get through or move into the second session. Very, very interesting as we're cruising along to see these golfers, well, bring out every bit of skill that they have in the bag. Here's Park Geol. She'll aim for birdie on hole number 12. Currently carrying a 5 under score. And she's done well. So she will also reclaim that 6 under that she had. Remember, she had an eagle on the second, a bogey just 2 holes back, but here she is back in business. 6 under for Park Geol. So don't forget the leaderboard rankings. That's in this contest. Well, it's all bound to change as of now. Park Min-ji. Well, she's challenging the top spot. There's no doubt about it. She's just gone past, well, the can. There's no doubt about it. But she'll be glad to finish that. As long as she can keep those even scores, I don't think she's going to be too concerned. The talk of Lee Won being the, well, poster girl currently of KLPGA. This is the 10th hole that we're looking at. Par 4 for the asking, 370 meters. You can view the course as well as the surrounding scenery here, as you can see. It's quite beautiful. The longest of the par 4 holes and the wide fairway, well, does give you a bit of relief. You don't have to hit the rough, but to target the green, it's best to keep towards the left side of the fairway with your tee shot. But when you're approaching the green, you got to be careful of those two bunkers there. The green is not easy here. There's a slope in about 3 or 4 directions, and that can be very, very tricky depending on where you land your shot. So Kwang Yu Min carrying that 5 under. She's got herself onto the rough. I don't think she's going to be too concerned. Well, she can get herself out of tough spots. We saw what well is possible. When you hit the beach, you can actually come out with the birdie. Park Yeol gets ready for hole number 13. Remember, it's a par 5 for the asking, 480 meters to be precise. You need to gain the distance advantage with this tee shot. It's very important, and that's what you'll aim for. There's an oak forest, but you got bunkers there that are, well, front and back of the green, and it can be very, very tricky. So very important. I think she's done fairly well to land a shot in a decent position. Good enough tee off there from Park Yeol. And it's a slightly raised green. Now it's difficult to hit a 2-on, so it's better to aim for the space on the right side of the green. As long as you can avoid those bunkers, keep out of that forest area, you're fine. Now Lee Won will go with her effort as she tees off for hole number 13. You stand corrected for hole number 10. Kwang Yu Min, well, she's generous, isn't she? Just land up feeding everybody. And that's a good thing about the golfers, isn't it? They always, well, there's a good bit of camaraderie. There are strong rivalries, but they're never really bitter as such. There's so much of, well, stories and funny moments to share. And one of the things we normally neglect about women's golf, well, men's golf can sometimes be very, very intense, but in women's golf, it's so often that after the contest you'll see the girls, you know, at the 19th hole, and for them the 19th hole is 9 out of 10, a really good cup of coffee or a latte or a, you know, frozen latte. It's just one of those differences from the lads hitting the 19th hole. Park Min-ji tees off for hole number 12. Remember, it's a par 3 for the asking. Well, gets herself a bit far from the flagstick. She'll wait for that ball to roll back in. Can she nail a birdie on this one? I think she can, but it really depends now. Yes, 1 on the slope and 2nd on which way the wind's going to carry that. Lee Dong-gyun onto a 2nd stroke for hole number 11. She's going in with a wedge. She does perform extremely well with the wedge, there's no doubt about it, and that's perfect placement from her. Always very delightful to watch. Very sure of the way that she does craft her, you know, trail to the pin. It's really, really important. Now Roh Seung-hui aiming for birdie on hole number 10. Oh, that's a delight. Absolute delight there. Gauged the slope extremely well. A gentle banana from her. So she's got herself into a 1 under on that 11th hole, and please this bunch. Well, there's still a long way to go here, and let's remind you, I was talking about this course all along, and there's one thing that you have to remember. You know, we are coming at you live from, the Yangpyeong County, and we've got Mount Yongwon-san and Mount Yumyong-san surrounding the area. Now the resort is excellent. You've got a lot of celebrities who come here, many that act in K-drama, many of the K-pop stars come here to play golf often or just to relax. Beautiful setting, very healing if you ask me, very refreshing, and it's really, really, for me, one of the most scenic golf courses. Now, architect Song Ho Cheng, remember that name? Architect Song Ho Cheng is the one who designed this in 2009 and had the shaping done by Tom Peck, who carved the fairways from a heavily forested landscape. So keep in mind the fact that every hole in this area is played in splendid isolation, and it's a complete escape from what's happening at the other hole. Um, a lot of space. It took a lot of work to get this done, but it is very, very beautiful, very stunning. Actually, it's stunning in its own way. And every time, our producers or directors or our cameramen, who we never really talk about, give us those drone shots or give us those wide angle shots, you're able to see the beauty of it, and it's such eye candy for a nature lover. Absolutely wonderful. So back to Lee Won. She's on to a second stroke for hole number 10, going in with a 6 iron. Not exactly where she would have wanted it, but I think that she'll be still happy that it's very much on the carpet. We'll have to focus to get the distance and the line right, which goes in for that push later. But meanwhile, it's Park Gyol onto a second stroke for hole number 13. We did talk about this. It's a bit of a tricky hole. You've got bunkers on the front and back. You can't hit, difficult to hit a 2 on. There's also a few, traps in there, which can be quite daunting. But I think she's playing it safe. You've got to be very, very careful on that hole for distance and direction. Here's Hwang Yu-min. She's on to a second stroke for hole number 10. Who's just helping her group mate and a caddy out with a bit of the fruit that she's carrying. Park Chu-young still leading the way with that 7 under. Kim Min-sun, Park Gyol, and now Yun Min-a's got herself back into that tied second, so it's a trio in there. And then in the tied fifth, you've got, Choi Rim, followed by a few of the golfers who are also climbing up the ladder in today's event. Yun Min-a, here she is going in for a second stroke for hole number 4. She's got a long way to go, and she's already in there, in that second bracket, so you can imagine if she can keep her performance consistent or getting better, she will definitely be up there. And that ball has sailed out of bounds. Just trying to figure out where that came from, and it looks like it was Yun Min-a's. I think the wind is carrying it towards the left. Here's Lee Dong-gyun aiming for birdie on hole number 11. Oh, well done. She's just been going from strength to strength from the start of the day, and Lee Dong-gyun, here she is. You look at that, she's got 6 birdies in there. She had 1 bogey, but stellar performance from her. Park Min-ji, I did say this earlier that a birdie on the 12th would have been a tad bit difficult, but you never know. It could have been a bit easier. She wasn't too happy about the way where, well, she did get her tee off shot to land. I always love watching her, Park Min-ji. She's such an exciting golfer to watch. So there we have it. Park Ji-young still at the top. Now you've got 4 in there, a quartet in the tied second. Kim Min-sun 7, Park Yeol, Yoon Mina and Lee Dong-gyun. Now they all have a 6 under score and tied 6th with the 5 under scores. You've still got a few tapping on the doors of the top, and I think that that's the important part. So it's not just about that singular spot at the top. I think by the end of this day that's going to change. That's definitely going to change, because you've got 4 in there who've still got, or 3, Park Yeol, Yoon Mina and Lee Dong-gyun, who can still attack the top position at the end of the day. So in tied 6, Choi Rim, Park Min-ji, Hwang Yu-min, Lee Yi-won, Sung Yu-jin, all carrying that 5 under. And there's always a chance that this tied 6 could push forward. Then you've got the tied 11th with Han Ji-won, Lee Ji-young, Kang Jin-sun, Kang Ji-sun, Choi Min-kyung and Yoon Soo-ah. Yes, Hwang Yu-min. Needed to get out of that rough patch. I think she's done well. Park Yeol Third stroke for hole number 13. Remember, we said this was a tricky hole. And she's just flown the green by a tad bit, not too much. Lee Won will aim for birdie on hole number 10. Remember, she's carrying a 5 under score. She'll be tapping into that top region very soon. Oh, just a narrow miss there. Just a narrow miss there for her. She'll have to settle for an even score for this one. And she'll take it gracefully.
가로에서 오히려 살짝 우측이 괜찮아. 하천다고.
Lee Dong-gyun tees off for hole number 12. She's going in with a 7 iron. It's 165 meters for the asking. There are bunkers, remember, back and forth where the green is concerned. You need to tee off into wide open space. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful from her. And I think that she's just set herself up for a nice little finish and an underscore. Wang Yumin. Finishes with an even score on hole number 10. I think she'll be pleased as punch with that. Still needs to break into that top region, into that second bracket. Remember, there's a top spot that needs to be toppled as well by the end of the day. And not that you're going to win the championship, but it'll set you in good stead for tomorrow. Well, you have to play your best, because remember, the number of golfers always get halved by the days as they progress. Pakiol now. He will aim for birdie on hole number 13. You can see the flagstick move and tell the wind. And this time that ball's not going to carry forward, which means she'll have to probably settle for an even score as well. So wind conditions definitely up here. There's no doubt about it. Yunmina, she's been delighting the audience here. Lee Dong-gyun now aims for birdie on hole number 12. Remember, she had a wonderful tee off. And she's done it. She'll go into tied first now. She's the co-leader, Lee Dong-gyun. So she's been bringing on those birdies by the number here. And those 2 consecutive birdies, well, just landing her that, well, position as joint leader. Wang Yumin now will tee off for hole number 11, 369 meters for the asking. It's a par 4. She's got a 5 under score currently. You've got to avoid the distance and choose where you're going to position the landing of your ball from that tee off, and I think that's very important. Well, the only thing that's going to work well in your favor is the fact that you've still got, well, 3 more shots to get there. Elsewhere, it's Park Gyeol. Needs to finish on par for this to keep her score intact. And no problem with that. So she'll maintain that tied second position where she is. Park Gyeol, 6 under after the 13th hole. Very, very interesting, well, performance from her today. She's been focused. She's been absolutely bang on, and that's what I call beauty, isn't it? Well, the colors, it's just an array of colors. The shades of green are just magnificent, isn't it? Every single shade that you can think of is in there. Um, Absolutely stunning. Surreal is what it is, that view. And I really got to thank our cameraman for that, our drone operators as well. Just magnificent. Just magnificent. So Park Ji-young and Lee Dong-gyun really still tied at the top with 7 under. And for hole number 11, it's Lee Won who'll tee off. 369 meters is what we're looking at. It's a par 4. And that's straight onto the rough, just off the fairways for her. But as long as she can, well, get the next approach shot well, I think she'll be in the safe zone. There's nothing for her to really be concerned about. Don't forget, one of the key elements in this is when you're looking at this view is that there's a lot of walking. I spoke about this step plantation, you know what you have in agriculture, where you have terrace plantations where there are layers and layers, and that's exactly what this course is like. Only thing, it's more spread out, there's more space, and there's a lot of travel. A lot of slopes that you've got to climb. And then don't forget that one of the holes, of course, is at the highest point of the course, and that's the hole where you feel like you're actually sitting on a cloud. I was trying to figure out which one that was, but I will get to that when we will reach it. Here's Yun Mina. She's looking for an on-par finish for hole number 4. And that's just a tad bit unfortunate for her. She knows that she'll clean it up, but she will bogey that one. Park Min-ji, hole number 13. And, well, she's got herself just off the carpet, so I don't think she's going to worry too much. I did locate the hole that I was talking about. It's on the Hugh course. That is on the start. We would have had it of the golfers for the front 9. It was hole number 5, and it's located at the highest point of the course, offering a panoramic view of not just the course but the mountain ridges in the distance. Right now, it's time for Park Yeol to tee off for hole number 14. 153 meters, a par 3 for the asking. Well, she stayed in the safe zone, away from the water, and I think that's going to help her. It requires precision in distance and direction, because remember that this is a downhill hole. That's exactly what we're talking about. It's hole number 5. Yun Min are teeing off. I did mention this is the highest point of the course, and it is a downhill hole, so she's got to be very careful. Distance and direction is important, otherwise you can't hit the rough, and it's a bit tricky to actually get, although you get a view of everything. The view of the green is not always, it's a bit deceptive. A hole-in-one. Remember that beautiful maroon Mercedes EQB. I absolutely love it. So Kang Ji-sun will tee off for hole 14, and there's a reason why they offer you such a beautiful car for this. A hole-in-one. She's going to go with the 8 iron. Well, from that distance, the green actually looks to be floating on water. It's a very, very difficult hole. It's only a par 3 for the asking, remember. Hole number 14. but it's very, very difficult, and you have to be very careful about how you plan those shots. So Kang Ji-sun, of course, just gave us a view of that. She was cautious in her approach. Now here's Park Min-ji. A birdie out of the rough. I'd love that. And that's just slipped out. A bit unfortunate. Well, so capable of actually nailing that, Park Min-ji. Here's Hwang Yu-min. Always a delight to watch. Enjoys every single outing on the course, on every contest. Meanwhile, Lee Yvonne onto a second stroke for hole number 11. She's got herself onto the green, so not too much of a worry for her right now. Hwang Yu-min, 101 meters to the hole. She's placed it fairly well. I think she'll be happy about that. Well, every time you do see, the waters, every time you do see that course, well, it's almost like an exodus, isn't it? A migration of people from one hole to the other. And one of the unique heart-shaped, greens. So Yunmina, second stroke for hole number 5. Now she started off very well, Yunmina. She's got to be extremely cautious. We'll settle for an even score for this one. Keep in mind the fact that she had to drop a point when she bogeyed the previous one. Park Min-ji. Well, what a wonderful birdie she would have had a while back. But she'll take that even score on hole number 13. Yunmina, meanwhile. Oh, just missing out with an even score, and that's going to be a bit of a setback for her. So she drops to a 4 under. I think did take that shot a tad bit impulsively. She's had bogeys, consecutive bogeys. That's just going to put a dent in her performance, but she's still got a few more holes, and Redemption Road is never too far away in a round of golf. Park Geol aims to birdie on hole number 14. She's sporting a 6 under. And that just slipped out at the wrong time. What an absolutely confident effort that was. Well, it's just like life. You can cover all the loopholes if you want. Something's got to go wrong, it will. You've just got to deal with it. Just smile and wave like the penguins in Madagascar. Lee Dong-gyun, she's impressed, really impressed today. She's the co-leader currently. Onto a second stroke, 213 meters to the hole on hole number 13. Remember, this is a very tricky hole as well. And that wind, gauging the distance, and the wind speeds is so very important. But she's done well to stay out of the danger areas. often neglected by a lot of us sometimes, who do play the sport, and you just take things for granted because you know it. But for those not acquainted with the sport to get in, you have to have a fairly good command about the way wind does affect your strokes. You've got to have a fairly good command about the way um, certain slopes and descents can be conquered, or when you've got to give in. So here we have Park Hyun Kyung in the race to the WeMix Championship, leads the way with Lee Won being pushed into second, but that of course is in the WeMix Championship, the KLPGA rankings. Lee Won still right there at the top, and here's Park Gyeol, looks for an on-par finish for hole 14. And she'll keep her 6 under untouched with that even score finish on hole number 13. So Park Gyeol will not be too concerned for the time being. Definitely a chance here for her to, well, up her game. Remember, Lee Won, she's still got quite a few holes left to play. She would want to stay close to the championship, does not want to get out of it. It's a fairly good chance of her making the cut here. We'll aim for birdie on hole number 11. 10 meters to the hole, it's not going to be easy as she focuses. Well, just thought that wind was going to aid her a tad bit, but remember, well, sometimes it can, sometimes it won't, but she can clean it up with an even score. Park Gyeol tees off for hole number 15. That's a dogleg hole. Circles a dense pine forest. Distance and direction are very important when teeing off, and I think that's what Park Gyeol was careful about. Right now it's over to Wang Yu-min. And she's got to plan this carefully. She's not taking any chances, as is evident. It's hole number 11. Oh, that's just gonna sit right on the lip. That ball is shy of the dark for certain. That's gotta be, well, just one of the really, really unfortunate ones. What a beautiful effort there from Hwang Yu-min. But that ball just refusing to budge. She'd settle for an even score. Could have nailed a birdie on that. It was an exceptional effort from her. Now it's back to that hole-in-one. Parkman-G will attempt it using a 7-iron. Who's going to drive home in that beautiful Mercedes? It's one of the trickiest holes, remember. I think she just might have stayed out of the beach. Well, that pole just blocking it. Yes, she stayed out of the beach, which is a good thing. And I think, well, she could finish with an even par for that one. Did not know that Lee Dong-gyun had hit the woods here. It's one of the really, well, challenging parts, but she's still only on a third stroke. She's got to play this carefully. So well done there by Lee Dong-gyun. Well, at least she's got herself onto the green, but that ball's going to carry with the wind. I did mention this earlier, wind speeds have increased by a fair bit, and you can make out, just have a view of the flagstick and it'll tell you a story. The more the sway, the more that it can dance, well, the tougher it is. But good job here from Lee Dong-gyun. She gets out of the woods without too much of a worry. Lee Won up next. She has to make this count and finish with an even score. And she does, not too much of a worry, just about 2.5 feet out. But so Lee Won will still maintain a 5 under, but she would definitely like to attack that top spot, finish as co-leader probably. I did speak about how, you know, many will shine on the first day and some of the slow starters, well, do take their time to build up. And then you look at Lee Dong-gyun and what she's done on round 2. She's just gone hammer and tongs at those birdies. Now here's Park Yeol. Second stroke for hole number 15. She's gone in with the 52 wedge. Well, she's put herself onto the carpet, so not too much of a worry. Lee Dong-gyun, remember she just got out of the woods. Now it's all about taking that home. Hole number 13, I would have believed she would have even nailed the birdie there, but I think she's just about put herself in a position where she's not going to drop her score, and as long as that happens, I think Lee Dong-gyun will be happy. She may have escaped the beach, but she's still got to get out of the rough. Here's Parkman-G. Well, let's put that fairly close to the pin. It was never going to be easy to finish with a birdie from that position, but you can never say. You've had the strangest things happen. You'll have golfers make you just get up and say wow, because you can get out of the beach and into the can. Let's not forget we had a few eagles flying here today. Well, that was in the early session. Lee Dong-gyun. Hole number 13 will aim for an on par. And she'll keep her co-leadership intact. So well done, yeah. She really strategized that well, and that's a sigh of relief for her, as you can see. She thought when she hit the woods it was going to be a problem, but I think she's done exceptionally well, and that's the hallmark of a great golfer. It's not about being able to, I mean, you are going to be disappointed, upset, stressed when you hit those, rough patches, but the ability to get out of them, well, that's really what it's all about, isn't it? So Lee Dong-gyun has emerged as one of the big players here today. He moved on, of course, to tee off time once again. Remember that right now we are playing on the Star course. The Hue course was for the front nine. And I can see Hwang Yung-min getting ready. A lovely swing there. Has she got herself into a spot of trouble? That's a big question. She has been teeing off and hitting the rough patches a fair bit, but she's been able to get out of them. Lee Won will go next. Remember, that's hole number 12, 165 meters is what we're looking at. Lee Won going in with a 5 iron. You got to be careful of the bunkers that press the green back and forth. Needs to tee off into open space, keep slightly towards the left. Oh, she's done well. That ball's going to travel a bit, but she's got herself onto the green, and I think that that's a positive sign for her. She's got to try and tee off more towards the left. There's wide open space there. You've got to avoid the bunkers. And I think Lee Won will be happy with what she's done. Park Yeol next. Hole number 15, aiming for birdie. Just a narrow miss there, but she'll have to clean it up with an even score. Yes, Park Min-ji also has to be careful with her real efforts. So not too much of a worry here. Kept it simple. Keeps the 5 under score. Park Yeol looking for an on par for hole 15. And yes, she's nailed that too. So she'll stay in that tied second with a 6 under score. So very quickly, let's get a beautiful view once again. Those lovely mountains. The weather stayed pleasant, so it's good for us. Quick look at the leaderboard rankings for this event at the SH suhyup-bank Open. Park Ju-young and Lee Dong-gyun still tied at the top with a 7 under. Lee Dong-gyun could well overtake that top position. So don't go anywhere as we continue with our coverage of this event. Kim Min-sun 7 and Park Yeol in tied third with a 6 under. Park Yeol still tapping on that top position. So there's a lot more to come. And let's not forget, I did mention this, it's a 1 billion won event. We are coming at you live from the Gyeonggi-do arena area, and this is the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open 2024. This tournament, of course, has returned after a couple of years, and it's so amazing to have it back at this very venue. Stay with us, don't go anywhere as we continue with the action in round two.
먼저 좀 있을까?
나이스 나이스
플레이하겠습니다. 잠시만 멈춰주세요.
원하는 드라이브라고. 대부분 교대는 다 치지. 근데 사람들이 오르면 위험해가지고 빨라졌어. 위험을 때리면 내가 안 되는데. 좀 올리면 내가 이거 안 들어가네.
Lee Won just getting agonizingly close.
무엇보다 이
And it's always important for, well, our golfers to really make a mark here. Parkman G carrying a 5 underscore. This, of course, will be her second stroke for hole number 15. Remember, she's one of the serious contenders in this event. Gets herself fairly close to the flagstick. Lee So-young, haven't seen too much of her today, but she's using an 8 iron for that second stroke on hole number 14. She's carrying a 1 underscore. Well, that is a magnificent shot. That is a magnificent effort from her. Absolutely wonderful from Lee So-young. She nails a birdie on hole number 14. Wonderfully done. Meanwhile, Wang Yumin looking to finish on par for hole number 12. And she'll keep a 5 under intact as well. Very, very confident with that. Gets a cheer from the fans. Lee Dong-gyun, she's been a golfer in focus. Aims for birdie on hole number 14. Definitely a chance for her to claim the top spot in the leaderboard for this event. What a performance. What a performance as she now zooms to the top of the chasing pack. It's an 8 underscore for Lee Dong-gyun. And she will be pleased as punch. So we're looking at changes here. And we did mention this towards the end of round 2. You're going to see so many. You've still got Yun Mina in there. Don't discount her. She's had a few obstacles along the way. But right now it's Park Geol. She's got to get out of the rough. She's got to avoid the waters. That's a second stroke for hole number 16. And I think she's done fairly well. She's got herself onto the carpet. Absolutely well planned shot from her. Well, sometimes, water hazards can be more intimidating than they really are, especially for professional golfers. But for newcomers, they're an absolute nightmare. I remember early days when just learning the sport, and every single hazard always seemed like such a worry, especially the water hazards. You can get out of the cat box, but what happens to the water where the ball just dips in? So here's Wang Yumin. Tees off for hole number 13. Remember, 480 meters, par 5 for the asking. Now it's a wide fairway, and the distance advantage is important. I think she's done fairly well. There's a slightly raised green with an oak forest in the background here. It's blocked by the bunkers back and forth. And it's difficult to hit a 2-on. Very, very easy to maintain your direction if you aim for the space on the right side of the green. And I think that's exactly what she did. It's Lee Won next. What can she come up with here? Keeps perfect form. Well executed. Absolutely well executed effort from Lee Won. And she knows it. Sung Yoo-jin has had 3 birdies and a bogey there. She's on to, well, a 10th hole. 34 that she garnered on the first, on the front nine. Sung Yujin with the second stroke, 157 meters to the hole. This is for hole number 10. Looks like she's just out of that carpet area. Could still navigate her way through. Park Min-ji will aim for birdie on hole number 15. It's a good chance for her now to get into that tied third position. Oh, what a narrow miss. She did gauge the direction well. She did gauge that slope well. We'll have to settle for an even score. Just a tad bit unfortunate there to have missed out on the birdie. Park Geol carrying a 6 under for hole number 16. Well, that's got my heart to stop a bit as well. What a beautiful effort from her. Just slipped out. What a beautiful effort. Park Geol could have just nailed it there. Well, it's those moments when you just know that you've got a confident, putt or a confident stroke, that push forward. I was just talking about the layers of green, and you just look at this, the thicket on the left, and you have every single shade of green in there, and it's almost like autumn when it isn't, but it's just outstanding. And that just goes to show sometimes the power of nature, isn't it? The colors, just amazing. I just leave on. That was the second stroke for hole number 13. It's a par 5 for the asking, so she's going to build that up nice and easy. I think she's fairly pleased with it. Here's Moon Jung-min. Will aim for birdie on hole number 16. She's on an even score after having, well, 3 over. That's 3 bogeys. Oh, nicely done. Nicely done from her. She had her worries earlier in the day, Moon Jung-min, but a birdie on the 16th will get her to a 1 under. Meanwhile, here's Hwang Yoo-min. Second stroke on hole number 13. She's got that ball to move as well. I think she'll be fairly easy with it. Elsewhere, here's Lee So-young. Lee So-young has put herself in a very good position. She's been coming out with a few stellar moves here today. Gave us that amazing birdie on the previous hole that she played. Just looking to nudge that and tap that out nice and easy. It's never going to be easy getting out of the rough. Here's Lee Dong-gyun. On to her second stroke for hole number 15. She's back to being joint leader. Well, she did have that top position for a tad bit, if I'm not mistaken. Park Yeol, having missed out on that lovely birdie in the previous effort, look to finish on par for hole number 16. And yes, she does. She maintains her 6 under score. She's got 2 more holes to play for in round 2. Choi Yun-woo, hole number 14, will aim for birdie. Oh, and she's nailed it. Wonderful, wonderful effort from her, Choi Yun-woo. She's had 4 birdies today. She's on to a 2 under, just had 1 bogey in that front 9. One of the greatest delights that I have coming from a production background would always be wide angle shots of scenic, well, golf courses. Absolutely love it. But yes, Wang Yumin. Just flown the green with her 3rd stroke. She's still got 2 to go. Chance of a birdie here as well. Lee Won onto her 3rd stroke for hole 13. 55 meters to the hole. Well, there's always that chance that that second bounce could lead to the hole. Find the can before you can think about it. What happens when you least expect it, isn't it? So on to hole 17, where Park Yeol will ply her trade. It's a par 4 for the asking, 380 meters. And that's not an easy hole. There's a reason for it. Now, if you cross the pond and land safely on the fairway, it's very easy. Your approach shot is important. Here's Sung Yoo Jin aiming for an on-par finish for hole number 10. And that's just going to sail away from the destination for her. Lee Dong-gyun aiming for birdie on hole 15. well, with that wind resistance and of course that slight slope, it wasn't going to be easy. 10.2 meters, not always the easiest to conquer. Um, Absolutely possible when you have a flat surface, but that's not what the sport is about, is it? So Huang Yumin now will aim for birdie on hole 13. Well, I think she'll be happy that she's got it nice and close and, well, didn't push it too much. Park Min-ji. Second stroke on hole 16. Oh, and she's flown the green. Too much airmail there, if you ask me. Here's a golfer. Came as a bit of a surprise to us, didn't she, today, with her events. Lee So-young. Just missing out there, but she'll be happy to clean it up easy. Had some stellar moments last year, Lee So-young. Now it's over to Lee Won, looking at capping off a birdie on hole number 13. Oh, beautifully done. Absolutely wonderful finish there from Lee Won, and she moves up into tied third. First birdie in that back nine. It's a 6 under for her, and I think she'll be pleased as punch with that. Lee Dong-gyun finishes on par for hole 15, and she'll maintain that, well, joint leadership. Sigh of relief for her. She's an honest golfer, isn't she? Doesn't hold back on her expression. And every time she escapes what she thinks is a challenging situation, she's grateful for it. I think that's wonderful. Just one of the differences, you know, that the roses of golf bring to the tournament, to, you know, the sport by itself. Park Geol onto a second stroke for hole 17, 161 meters to cover. Remember, it's a par 4. Well, she's got way past the green, hasn't she? Just a bit too much of club on that from Park Geol. I was just talking about how the roses of the sport, they bring an entirely different, well, the men's contest tends to be, you know, intense, and then there are those quirky, satirical moments. But with women's golf, there's always a bit of elegance. There's always the human touch to it, the camaraderie that these ladies share. And yet, you know, in the midst of stiff competition. And one of the beauties of golf is it's not about really playing against your competitor. It's always about playing against yourself. And, you know, the better you perform and the more perfect you are, well, you're going to win the championship. That's as simple as it gets. And I think that that's the difference between golf and so many other sports. You play against yourself. There is no bitterness between rivals or between competitors. And, you know, you will cheer every single stellar move from the opponent. So, Huang Yumin will keep that even score, and I think she'll be happy about that. Could have nailed the birdie earlier, but that should serve her well enough. So the 14th hole, 205 meters, par 3 for the asking. Well, when you step on the tee, you can view the green, but seems to be floating on water, and that's the reason why. If you look at it from the tee off spot, there's just one bit of a slope, that the incline that slopes inwards towards the right side of that green. It's a very interesting hole because it has an impressive view of the clubhouse in the background. You can't attack it directly. You have to be very, very cautious about two things: distance and direction. Remember, there's a sand bunker there, and then of course you've got that amazing water hazard. It's beautiful, isn't it? Just love those spouts. I could sit watching it all day. It's also the trickiest hole, and there's a reason why that car sits back there if you can nail a hole in one. Most of the golfers haven't really finished with the asking, which is a par 3. But having said that, getting a birdie out of this one is also a very, very tough ask. The beauty of it, I love to be proved wrong every time. Now that's where the joy is, isn't it? So Lee Yvonne, she had a good effort in her previous hole, so she will lead the way. That's a 6 under score for Lee Yvonne. She's going to go with a 7 iron. And that's well struck. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? It almost looks like a painting on a canvas. So, always talk of our unsung heroes, our cameramen, the directors and producers. They require every bit of credit possible. Using an 8 iron here, Hwang Yumin will tee off for hole number 14. Remember what we said about that hole in one? I'd love to see one of our golfers take that home. That beautiful maroon four-wheeler Mercedes EQB. Parkman G aiming for birdie on hole number 16. Well, that's a beautifully placed shot. So I think she will go in for an even score. To be precise, she has to go in for an even score. And here's Park Yeol. Well, she did fly the green and landed into the rough there. 18 meters to the hole. We'll aim for birdie. Chip that out nice and easy. It's gone past the, well, destination. That might just put her in a bit of a tight spot. And a bogey just might be on the horizon. So very quickly, let's look at it. Lee Dong-gyun still tied at the top with Park Chu-young, but Lee Dong-gyun has 3 more holes to change that. Kim Min-sun 7, Park Yeol and Lee Won, the trio, sit in tied third with 6 under. Choi Yi-rim, Park Min-ji and Hwang Yu-min with that 5 under are in tied 6th. And don't forget, they've got a couple of other, competitors who do join them in the fray. Well, scenic beauty always has such an amazing place for me in my heart, but I do hope you've been enjoying the views of this entire fantastic coast, which can be very healing and rejuvenating even for a break. Lee Won will aim for birdie on hole number 14, 8.8 meters to that hole. Well, with the wind really carrying that a little bit and also that slight slope, it was always going to be tough for her. But I think definitely the intent to make it count. Park Geol now will need an on-par finish to keep that 6 underscore intact. And she's pushed it just beyond, well, the hole towards the left. Yes, Wang Yumin aiming for birdie on hole number 14. That's gone just past the hole. Lee Dong-gyun. Remember, she's on hole 16. She's going in with a 50 wedge. 102 meters for the hole. 7 under her score currently. She's got hole 16, 17 and 18 to change that and claim the top position. Oh, wonderfully done. And this is what she's been doing the entire day when she sets up a birdie. It's that perfect positioning. She uses the wedge to a maximum. Has a great command over that skill. Here's Lee Won. She'll finish with an on par for hole number 14. Park Geol will bogey this, and that's going to drop her points down. She'll settle for a 5 under now. I think that's been a bit of a stumbling block for her. Her second bogey, she had an eagle and a birdie and 2 bogeys. Otherwise, it's been a fairly neutral day for her. Now Hwang Yumin at hole 14 needs an on-par finish, and she'll keep that. Sitting still with that 5 under. She needs to, well, up her performance too towards the end of the day. Now let's see what Park Min-ji can do. She's onto her second stroke for hole 17. Remember, she escaped the waters earlier. And, well, too much airmail on that for certain. I don't think she intended it to cross over. So, Redemption Road here for Park Geol. It's a par 5 for the asking, 480 meters as she tees off on hole number 18. She's got to get that 6 under back for herself. Well, your final scores on round 2 will also determine whether you stay in the contest for round 3 and what your groupings will be. And you'll have the top 3 players who finish at the end of round 2 in a group for certain. Now here's Lee Dong-gyun aiming for birdie on hole 16. Beautifully done as she claims the top spot once again. Now she's the leader. She's had just 1 bogey in there, and she's had about 7 birdies, so it's been a good performance from her. She's still got 2 more holes to go, and Lee Dong-gyun is certainly emerging as a key player here in this event. She has not won this year, but I think it'll be very interesting to see how she can perform. Lee Won gets ready to tee off. That's for hole number 15. Got herself into the safe zone. Well, to be fair, today's event has moved along pretty fast. There's been not too many, well, delays, not in weather or anything, and we're glad for that. Let not that let let that statement not change anything. But here it is, hole number 17, Parkman G. Well, she did fly the green earlier. Now she'll have to look for that on par finish. She will want to keep her score intact. So it's just looking back at Lee Dong-gyun, and she's actually ranked at number 42 currently on the KLPGA K ranking. But right now, of course, it's hole 15, and Hwang Yoo-min looking to navigate through 369 meters. In the previous round, she's had a birdie on this hole. Will be interesting to see how she can perform here. Well, every day, of course, brings its new challenges, and while wind resistance may not be there on some days it is. You can look at the change in the color temperature, and that's due to the evening setting in. It's a little more somber, milder. It's almost like there's a blue filter on there, but that's also due to the change in the natural lighting. I learned that over the years. Well, color temperatures have always been a thing that I love, and you know, it's probably at this part of the day that you see the most eye-catching moments where, you know, the shadows start falling through. You start seeing, well, the colors just kind of get a bit more, less vibrant, but still very easy to distinguish from each other. Park Yeol onto a second stroke for hole 18. An elevation of 19.8 meters. It's required 262 meters to the hole. She will need to nail a birdie on this if she wants to finish with that 6 under, which she's carried right through the day. Hwang Yoo-min gauging the line and the distance. Hwang Yoo-min, second stroke on hole 15, 94 meters to the hole. Well, she's got just outside the carpet area, so Lee Won, meanwhile. Onto a second stroke for hole 15, 92 meters to the hole. Well, that's a decent enough position for her. I think she's landed that very well. It's back to Park Min-ji. One of the big guns here. She's well known right around Asia, internationally as well. Looking for an on-par finish for hole 17. And she's done well. She's got one more to go and maybe get a birdie on the last hole if possible. So there we have it. She's had one bogey on the 11, 2 birdies in that front 9. Always a delight to watch her in action. Yes, Park Yeol. She's got to nail a birdie on this one if she wants to get a score back to where it was for the entire day. It's only her third stroke, 109 meters to the hole. 8.7 meters is what we're looking at for the elevation. Set herself up into a position. It'll be a bit of a challenge for her to conquer that, but I think it is doable. So Lee Dong-gyun leads the way with an 8 underscore. In second is Park Ju-young with a 7. Tied third is Kim Min-sun 7 and Lee Won with the 6 under. In tied fifth, you've got Choi Ye-rim, Park Min-ji, Park Yeol, Hwang Yu-min. And Hwang Yu-min and Park Min-ji have been holding on to that 5 under for quite a long time. I'm sure they'd like to kind of upscale that. Choi Ye-rim, of course, has also been in there for good measure. So the good part is that Lee Dong-gyun has actually not won too many tournaments. She's ranked 42 currently. Finished second in the KLPGA 2 Nexen St. Nine Masters 2024. She also finished second in the KLPGA Artfin Dream Tour 2023-16 tournament. But she finished first in the KLPGA 2023 NP Holding Dream Tour 15th tournament. So that was the only win that she had. Now keep in mind the fact that it's going to be very interesting to see for a golfer who really, stepped out of the zone in 2022, where she played just 4 events. 2023 she played 12, but in 2024 she's already finished 9 events. So she's here now for the long run, and this is where it really opens up for her. So if Lee Dong-gyun can come good by the end of the day today and stay on top tomorrow, it's going to be an entirely different story. And players that normally peak at the end of round 2 in a 3-day event, well, you know how that really pans out. They do become the main contenders. It's a very rare chance that everything goes wrong for you, unless weather conditions change drastically. Rain, I think, is one of the biggest obstacles in on that pathway to the championship for the round 2 top finishers. So it's a different change from playing 72 holes in a 4-day event, and the majors normally always call for those. But interesting to see how this contest plays out. So don't go anywhere as the SH suhyup-bank MBN Women's Ladies Open continues right here. This is a part of the KLPGA Tour 2024. This tournament, of course, returning after a couple of years, as well as this venue, sprouting up again. I'm so happy for that. 1 billion won is the current prize money. That's about 723,000 plus, 723,264 odd, if I'm not mistaken, if my math is correct. Temperature has been hovering between 25 to 26 degrees for most part of this day. Cloudy skies slightly, although it was sunny for most part of it. And now as the sun slowly begins to set or start its descent, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Beautiful colors, And with the day and the sunlight changing, you're seeing those different shades change as well. Absolutely wonderful. It's been, and I've always said this, unsung heroes, our production team, cameramen, directors, ah, they just deserve their due. Had events, in golf where you do have shots of the moon and close-up shots. Oh, just wait for those. Oh, what a miss, Wang Yumin. What a miss. That just slipped out at the last minute. Was such a strong chance of her nailing a birdie, and she knows that now. Well, as the holes do dry up in terms of with very few left to play, I think that's very important. Lee Dong-gyun, we spoke about her being one of the main golfers in focus here today. She's really shining bright. She would want to hold on to that leadership position that she's gained in round 2. Oh, that's another fine effort. Beautiful placement, has landed that in such an amazing spot, and this is what she's done through the entire day. It's all about her approach shot. She's been very, very consistent with them. Lee Won getting a cheer there from the crowd. And that's just sailed away from the destination. Was almost able to hit the flagstick, but I think she'll have to settle for an even score for this one. Park Geol. Well, this is a chance to finish with that 6 under. Well, almost masterclass there from her, but just narrowly missing out. A Cuban for her. She will have to settle for an even score. She'll clean that up to finish today's event, and at least she finishes on a neutral note and not a negative one. So here it is. Park Geol, 36 on the front, 37 on the back. It's those 2 bogeys on the back 9 that really hampered her performance, but she'll take home a 5 under par, and we'll see her back tomorrow. Currently, Hwang Yumin just missed out on the birdie. Will look for an on-par finish for hole number 15. That's exactly what she does. So 3 more holes to play. She's carrying a 5 under score. Park Min-ji. Gets a good bit of power into that one. Here's Lee Won. Looking for an on-par finish for hole number 15. Like her group mate Hwang Yumin. She's holding on to a 6 under. And she's kept her score intact. Staying on course there for the championship, there's no doubt about it. So on to the 16th hole. As we can see, it spread out nice and easy. It's a par 4 for the asking, 365 meters. The green, as you can see, looks like it's floating on water from a distance. When you glance towards it, only when you get a close-up like that, you can see it's different. You've got to be careful of that sand bunker on after the tee off. Now, keep in mind the fact that if you're a long hitter, a layup would be better when attacking the green. That's very, very important. But just at the sloping area, towards the right side and towards the extreme left. So teeing off here for hole number 16, it's going to be Lee Won. Lee Won. Confident swing there from her. Long hitters will benefit the most at this hole. And she's driven that to the distance. I think that's a fairly decent effort from her. Kept herself on the fairways. And she would be pleased with that. Up next, it's Wang Yumin. Well, not too much of a body turn or a twist of the torso, but she's used the forearm and a wrist a good measure. She's covered the distance extremely well. Lovely effort there from Wang Yumin. Well, so many golfers. Park Min-ji can do that too. Keeps a fairly stiff forearm and wrist, but she can drive that power. Lee Dong-gyun aiming for a birdie on hole number 17. And that's gently well lipped out there. I think she definitely would have gone up to a 9 under. Just a tad bit unfortunate for her. Should be an easy cleanup for her. Not taking any chances though, and I think she'll still keep her leadership intact. She'll be happy about that, but she was in a very good position to actually, well, get that birdie. And right through the day, her landing has been so fantastic. That's the reason why, well, she's just gone up that leaderboard in this event. Yes, Park Min-ji, as she gets ready, it's her third stroke on hole number 18. 7.4 meters elevation is what we're looking at. 111 meters to the hole. I'm sure she would like to finish with a birdie on this one. Let's just scale past the, well, flagstick, but still gives her a fairly good chance. Wind resistance strong here in this part. And just a view of where that ball landed with the tracking. There was a chance for her to have actually nailed, well, maybe an eagle. Easier said than done always, isn't it? Getting ready to tee off for her last and final hole of the day. It's Lee Dong-gyun, 480 meters. That's hole number 18. She's delighted us with the performance today. You got to avoid the bunker on the right side of the fairway. See that your tee shot lands safely in the landing zone. Keep your shot fairly high towards the right side, avoiding the bunker on the left. And that's exactly what she's done, but you've got to get a view of that because that swung a bit to the left. A good effort from her. Absolutely good effort from her. So Lee Dong-gyun doing extremely well. Was a great hook there from Lee Dong-gyun. And we are back to the main trio who've been in our focus today. Wang Yumin and Lee Won shining there amidst them. By So-hyun with a second stroke for hole number 16. Decent landing on the green, sorry. Hwang Yun-min going in for a second stroke, 102 meters to the hole. Oh, that's beautifully placed. Absolutely wonderful effort here from Hwang Yun-min, and she's just set herself up for what could be another birdie. Exceptional work being done by her. She missed out on the previous one, but she'll just take that in a stride. Lee Won onto a second stroke for hole number 16. She'll aim for that area of the green as well. And if you talk about the incline aiding her, well, it has. Hwang Yun-min, of course, getting the best out of that, well, second stroke. So Lee Dong-gyun continues to lead the way. Remember, she's still got to finish her 18th hole. And that's an interesting performance from her today. She's carrying an 8 under. Park Ju-young, who finished well, was one of the dawn breakers. 7 under, she's in second position. Kim In-sun 7 and Lee Won are in tied third with 6 under. Lee Won will be definitely keen on getting into a joint second. She's still got 3 holes to play. She's on her 16th hole currently. And Choi Rim, along with Yoon Mina, Park Gyeol, Park Min-ji and Hwang Yun-min are all with 5 under. A tad bit unfortunate. Yoon Mina, of course, did have a very good start to the day and then, of course, had a few challenges right along the way. But we'll probably see all these fantastic golfers back tomorrow. Well, the current leaderboard in this event definitely showing us a bit of a story. Been a bit of changes, a few changes that we've seen. Very quickly, of course, I must remind you that we are coming at you live with this very event, and this is the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open. Did mention that it's returned well to the KLPGA calendar after a few years. We're coming at you live from the Gyeonggi-do area, and we're very close to Mount Yeongwon-san and Mount Yumyeong-san. You can view both, and this is in the Yangpyeong County. Park Min-ji will aim for birdie now. Oh, that's by So-hyun. Had to tell by that visor. Well, so close, so agonizingly close. A Cuban for her, but she'll finish with an even score, and I don't think she will have too much to complain about. But here's Park Min-ji now. It's the final hole of the day. Oh, takes your breath away, doesn't it? Imagine if you're the golfer. So she'll have to settle for an even score. And it's still a neutral to finish with, so Park Min-ji finishes the day's event 36 on the front, 37 on the back nine. That bogey on hole 11 while changing her points, but she'll carry a 5 under into tomorrow's event. Now, this is a very interesting one. Lee Yvonne, remember she's carrying a 6 under, aims for birdie on hole 16. And that's just going to be a bit of disappointment for her. She's still got 2 more holes to go, so I wouldn't worry if I was in her spot. Wang Yumin. Lee Won looking to finish this with an even score. And yes, she does, so it's not a worry for her. Wang Yumin will aim for birdie on hole number 16. And she's done well to go up to a 6 under. So she's in tied third now. That is also her 5th bogey of the day. Or could it be the 6th? She had, sorry, a 6th birdie of the day. I think she had 1 bogey. Lee Dong-yun on to a 2nd stroke. Remember, this is her last and final hole of round 2. She's been very good with placing the ball more or less close to the flagstick. She's come up with those perfect landings very often, or safe landings. Been able to escape a few blushes as well. And elsewhere on the course, a gentle chip, and that's fantastic. Much needed here, and those are morale boosters. Those are such stellar moments that make the sport so exciting. So hole number 17, Wang Yumin, who nailed the birdie, will lead the way here. Had a birdie on the previous hole. It's a par 4 for the asking, 380 meters that we're looking at. Remember, you've got to cross the pond, you've got to land safely on the fairway, and you've got to be able to hold that club very well for your approach shot. Now the bunker blocking the front of the green is a bit intimidating, but that's more an optical illusion from a distance. It's not the same when you get close to it. There's enough space between the greens for you to take a risky shot, or to be confident. So here's Wang Yumin as she tees off for hole number 17. Well, she's stuck to the fairways, she's crossed the waters, and I think, well, she'll be happy about that. She'll be very happy about that. Lee Yvonne to go next. Had a birdie in the previous round on hole 17. Lee Won is now tied with Huang Yumin in that tied third position of the 6 under golfers in round 2. For hole 17, that's the golfer that will complete the trio. Bai So-yun. She's still carrying a 1 over score. Well, unlike her 2 group mates who've actually been flying free and doing very well. But Bai So-yun also gave us a couple of good moments. Lee Dong-gyun, the third effort, needs to get out of the beach here. She's chipped that well. Well, a birdie might be a bit of a challenge here, but as long as she can keep an even score finish, I think she'll be happy. Well, she gave us a wonderful birdie in the previous hole, didn't she? And that's Yun Ina. She's on an even score here today. She tees off for hole number 18. She's hooked that. Well, I hope she hasn't hit that little pit there. Wang Yumin making her way through. Well, as we get to it, the last few moments of our event today, let's also remind you that tomorrow it's going to be an earlier start, and it's going to be a very, very interesting one for us. We start an hour earlier, but there will be fewer golfers on the course. Lee Won, the second stroke for hole number 17. Got herself onto the rough. Wang Yumin will use a 7-iron. Needs to cover 139 meters, looking at an elevation of about 9.6. This, of course, is on hole 17. Remember, she's still very much in there among the front runners in this tournament. Also gets herself onto the rough like a teammate. Here's Lee Dong-gyun will aim for birdie on hole number 18. It's a bit of a distance, 6.3 meters. Oh, agonizingly close for her, and I think she'll have to settle for an even score, but she'll be happy about that rather than finishing with dropping points. So, but very well done. She's been stellar in her performance today. Definitely, for my money, the standout golfer of round 2. If she can hold that same, she can replicate this performance tomorrow, well, I think she's put herself with a fair chance of winning the tournament itself. An 8-iron that Bai Soo-yoon has gone with. We'll just skip past that and join her, well, compatriots just outside, well, the carpet. And that's a fine performance from Lee Dong-gyun today. Well, 36 on the front, 33 on the back. 7 birdies in there and just 1 bogey. It's an 8-under finish for her as she finishes at the top of the leaderboard in the tournament, unless someone else can challenge that. And I doubt that's going to happen today. But fantastic performance from Lee Dong-gyun.
앞에 빨리 가주세요. 멈춰주세요. 고객님. 나와주세요. 이쪽으로 나와주세요. 카트 쪽으로 나와주세요. 카트 쪽으로. 마지막 앞으로. 카메라 씨 조심하세요. 그쪽으로 가야 돼요. 소리 안 나게 부탁드립니다.
Yun Ina, a second stroke for hole 18, 262 meters, 19.7 the elevation needed. And Yunina gets a cheer from the audience. Well, driven that extremely well. I think she's pleased as punch with that. Yes, Wang Yumin. Always on the move, always busy doing something. And even if she's, well, having a snack, always sharing that around. Well, I always admire, well, anyone who's constantly on the move or constantly active. And that's going to sail past. Well, she will be pleased with that as long as she can keep it within that navigational beacon. I think it works well for her. by So-Yun. A third stroke for hole number 17. Oh, that was well, close enough, but I think she's just gonna clean that up. Would have loved to have finished with the birdie there, but she'll have another hole to go. So, an even score for her for this one. She's gone about her business like every other day at the office. She's had a lot of challenges, but she's maintained to stay in that neutral zone for a while. Here's Lee Won. Lee Won, well, going in with her effort, will try and nail a birdie. It's a bit of a distance. And there goes another one. Well, Bai So-Yun also just missing out narrowly and had to settle for an even score. And that's exactly what she does. With her other two group mates taking up, well, an even score. It's time for Wang Yungmin to emulate the same. That's exactly what she does. So an even score for the trio in this group. So it's on to the 18th hole, which is the final one for our, well, group that we've been focused on. Remember, it's 480 meters, a par 5 for the asking. If you avoid the bunker on the right side of the fairway, and if you can land your tee shots safely in that landing zone, you can gain an advantage by aiming for your second shot high up on the right side while avoiding the bunker on the left. It's a bit of a very tricky approach, but right there at the end, you got to really plan and chalk out your distance well and how you're going to cover it. Yun Ina with her third stroke on hole 18. Wonderful placement. Almost got it very, very close to that flagstick. And I think she would like to finish with a birdie if possible. And here's another fantastic moment for us. That final hole, this big trio here. Wang Yumin going to take her swing and carry that through. Remember, long hitters do benefit here. Now she's kept out of any rough spots, which is she's kept out of the hazard, sorry, but she has landed on the rough. I don't think that's going to bother her too much. And while the golfers were just checking on the weather conditions, remember there was predicted a tad bit of rain, but it didn't really come through. Lee Won will go on next. Wonderfully struck. Well, gets it a bit onto that outside. Don't think she's going to be too concerned about that. By So-hyun will go on next. She's hooked that for certain. Stays on the fairway. Well done. Always has a great approach with her movement, but just kind of does have a few worries when it gets to that final bits of the event or of the hole, and that's just referring to Bai So-hyun. Well, this is that those magnificent spouts in there. Just love it. Prettiest water hazard that you can think of. Yoon Inna would like to finish with the birdie on hole 18. Always desirable. There's a bit of a descent there, a bit of a slope that goes downwards. Well done. And that's got to be a really happy finish. Finishes with a 1 under. She's had 3 birdies in that back 9 and she's happy about that. 36 on the front, 33 on the back. Those bogeys on the front 9 will just hampering a performance, but she'll accept the applause gracefully with a smile. Lovely finish from Yoon Inna. Wang Yumin onto the final hole for the day.
잠깐만.
플레이하겠습니다.
플레이하겠습니다. 잠시만요.
Lee Won gets ready into position to take a second stroke. 19.1 meters elevation, 254 meters to be covered in all. That's the destination to the hole. Keep yourself out of any hazard and that would work well. So Lee Won will be pleased about that.
플레이하겠습니다.
자, 플레이하겠습니다. 이동 잠시 멈춰주세요.
It's Pai So Yun who'll go next. It's also her second stroke. Getting out of the rough, Wang Yumin. Well, just got off the fairways when she, well, went in with her previous effort. She did drive it nice and hard though.
플레이하겠습니다.
Wang Yumin, her second stroke. 17.4 meters elevation, 225 meters to cover. Just got to angle this well. Well, that's a decent one. She's got herself onto the fairways, kept herself fairly clean. No rough patches there with this effort, and that smile says it all. Well, as the migration continues to the next spot, the exodus on the Star Golf Course. Remember, we started off with the Hugh, but the Star and Hugh Golf Course really are fantastic, if you ask me. Well, we are coming to that part of the event where we will have to shut shop rather soon and well, get re-energized for another wonderful day. Remember, I spoke about the 19th hole and how ladies normally would catch up over ice cold frappes or sometimes hot coffee. They love that, unlike the lads who literally will change the beverage. And there's always a few good, well, moments to share a couple of notes. The good thing about golfers is, even though you have your own strategy always, you wouldn't find too many golfers not willing to help out. You know, especially if you're having some real problems with a certain well, hole that you need to conquer. Of course, each one's skill, that's really your ace in the hole, literally put, no pun intended. So here's Lee Won with her third stroke. The It's a very important approach, this one. She's got herself onto the green, but now it's all about whether she can finish it off with the birdie or will she have to settle for a neutral score. Elevation of 5.6 meters. Oh, that's beautifully struck. And she gets a cheer from the crowd. Absolutely wonderful effort there from Hwang Yoo-min. Oh, delightful. And if she can finish this with a birdie, what an event it's going to be for her in round 2. By So-hyun. Well, save the best for last. That's what she's been doing. And she also now puts herself in contention of a birdie. She's had her moments today. She's missed out on so many, well, underscore finishes. But very well done. So, well, these two young golfers do have something to talk about. Very, very close. And nicely done. So both Hwang Yoo-min and Bai So-hyun pushing themselves really close to the flagstick. It's coming to that part of the day. You've got the entire galley to play for, or to play to. Let me get my words right. Just a tad bit of a challenge to cover that distance for her, but keep in mind the fact that, well, the top golfer in here, Lee Won, will aim for birdie on hole number 18. She's carried that 6 under for quite a bit today. Almost perfection there from her. A Cuban for her, but she'll be able to clean it up. That's exactly what she does. So an applause from the crowd. She's had a good day. It's been a good day at the office for her. There's no doubt about it. So Lee Won will finish, well, her round 2, and she'll be back tomorrow on a very positive footing. Well, the last thing you want to do is end the day's event with a bogey, or worse still, a double bogey. It's a sheer nightmare. That's family and friends, fans who are, well, out here cheering them on. Always expect great performances from Lee Won, Park Min Ji, Wang Yumin. Wang Yumin aiming for birdie on hole 18. And that takes her up to a 7 under. Puts her in a very good position. What a fine performance from her. Tied second today. 6 birdies there and 1 bogey. 36 on the front 9, 34 on the back 9. She's really come good. Hug there for Lee Won. And what a fantastic performance it's been from this young lady. Absolutely fantastic. Let's remind you once again that this is the SH suhyup-bank Open, the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open 2024, and we were coming at you live from the Star Hue Golf Resort and Course. It's by So-hyun, who still has to finish off, well, her event, and there's every chance that she could finish on a positive note here, and that I'd be happy for her. And that's well done. She'll finish with a neutral score, but it's at least a positive for her to finish off. So she had an eagle and 3 birdies with 3 bogeys in there that hampered her performance. Unfortunately finishing only on an even score. We'll have to wait and see what the results tell us tomorrow and who will make it through. Very quickly, a look at the highlights. And here's the 4th hole. We had some stellar moments in there. And that was drawing straight close to, well, the green. And then that wonderful finish and a birdie from her, from Park Joo-young. And she of course finished with the 7 under, don't forget. That was fantastic placement. And that banana effort, well, was sheer perfection. Absolutely sheer perfection from her. Then Park Yeol, of course. Well, she certainly flew the bird with that one. And what an outstanding move that was. That had the biggest cheer of all. Park Yeol really shining there. We spoke about those eagles today, and here it is, the 7th hole. Oh, and that was such a fine finish. Well, she couldn't believe it, absolutely couldn't believe it, that she had nailed an eagle. And that was Kim Min-chun, 7. And it was absolutely wonderful placement from her as well. Needed to finish with a birdie. That's what she did. Had a few trials here today. But on to the 12th hole. And that was, again, fantastic placement. Much needed from Lee Dong-gyun. And then the 13th hole, Lee Won. Well, she came very good there. Very well thought of. And a gentle push to give her a birdie on the 13th. That was the 4th of the day. She also shone bright today. Then on the 16th hole, Lee Dong-gyun again, definitely a standout golfer for the day. She had some great moments on the course, and that's what she did for a lot of the efforts that she had. And then she had that beautiful finish. So that was another birdie for her on hole number 16. Then Hwang Yoo-min crafted that one out so well, and that's what put her tied third before she could actually move up into tied second. It was a fine finish from her on hole number 16. Then on the 18th hole, Lee Dong-gyun, finishing with an even score, but as the leader, in round 2 with an 8 under. So she did shine bright today. And then we had one more magic moment left, because she was carrying a 6 under right through the day and finished with a 7 under to finish second best in round 2. Hwang Yoo-min, fantastic performance from her. Everything that was really required. So it's been a really, really good event for us, and it's time for us, of course, to dip out and inform you that this was the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open 2024. Lee Dong-gyun finishes at the top with Hwang Yoo-min and Park Joo-young tied second with a 7 under. Lee Won, Kim Min-sun 7 tied fourth. And then, of course, you've still got Choi Min-kyung, Han Ji-won, Yoon Soo-ah, Park Gi-ol, Sung Yoo-jin, Park Bo-kyom, Kim Hee-ji, still very much in there in the contest. Let's not forget that we were coming at you live from the Star Hue Golf Resort in Gyeonggi-do, and today was a very pleasant day. Temperature was perfect, had a good bit of wind conditions, but it didn't hamper the golfers' performances. We had some stellar moments. We had a few eagles, a ton of birdies, and there's so much to expect in tomorrow's event. So tomorrow we will start an hour earlier. Let's not forget. Let me also very quickly remind you that my name is Glenn Mascarenas. I was with you through the event yesterday, today as well, and I'll be there to take you across the finish line to find out who the champion is tomorrow. So don't forget to join us once again and share the action. And for all that joined in and shared the action with us today, thank you so much for that. Time for us to shut shop and ship out of here, because it's been an exciting day. Would love for it to have gone on a bit more, but everyone needs a rest, the golfers, you and me. So from me, Glenn Mascarenas, and from the entire team here at the SH suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open 2024, it's time for us to say bye-bye for now.